tests are the best in class. And for that, we need support. And this guy has come in as his doctor, a PhD. He's Zenzino's global scientific researcher. Mr. Colin Robinson, or Col, welcome to the call tonight.
Brilliant, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me on, and the amount of people who are here to listen to me speak, to have a chat, really is overwhelming, and I can't thank you enough. It's really, really kind of you to take time out of your day, of your evening, to listen in. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Colin, first question for you tonight, straightforward to the point. What, in your opinion, sets Zenzino products apart from other products on the market?
Wow, so we're going straight in.
Straight in.
Okay, Steve. I am not known for giving straight answers, by the way. Not politician-like. I will answer, but I'm very rare to say it's because of this. So to answer that, kind of the reason, what sets it apart is the reason why I'm here, is because my background is hardcore science. I don't believe in any crank ideas. I don't believe in anything that we can't evidence with empirical, evidence-based, peer-reviewed research. That's what I'm all about. That's what all my training has been about, all my education. That's what I believe in. And so for a long, long time, I didn't have a great opinion of the supplement industry, because the supplement industry on large could have been doing better, was always my take. And also a lot of people were getting told, this is really from elite sport, a lot of people were getting told to take a lot of things that I just disagreed with. I didn't believe they needed to take it. And then time is a great educator, and you start to move forward. And I have to say that a big part of my role has always been working on huge health initiatives, trying to get people to be healthier, to make better choices. And it's hard. It's hard because there's so much working against us. So I think the first time I ever used this phrase was about 4 years ago. I was at a conference, I think I was in the States, and I said, we have the technology to do food better. So why aren't we doing it? Why are we letting that technology sit in the hands of people that are purely interested in profit? And I've got nothing against people making money, but the world should be fed and the world should be healthy because we know how to do it. So I said that, I think about 4 years ago was the first time, if I remember. And then, typical to me, I've said it about 50 times since. And when I became made aware of Zenzino, and I won't repeat that story because I think I've said it so many times, I looked at Zenzino with skepticism. I thought, right, I'm going to have a look, and it'll be another one to add to my list of going, yeah, it's just another supplement company, whatever. And it wasn't. So I was working on an epigenetics project. I was actually looking at omega-3s, nothing to do with supplementation, purely looking at the diet. And I was asked to look at Zenzino by a friend of mine. And I was literally blown away, because more often than not, as a researcher, we're trying to find really good questions so that we can find really good answers. And I remember distinctly here at home in my study, looking at the website and going, wow, I think I found an answer. These guys seem to be doing it. This looks like it's it. So what sets it apart is the fact that, and this is the way I've started to describe it to people over the past month or so, think of Zenzino products as simply just really intelligent, great quality food. Especially, what really won me over was the philosophy of all natural. When the company decided to do that before I got here, but as a part of the conversations I had about joining the company, this was right at the front. All natural. We want to move to all natural. That's really hard to achieve. It's hard to achieve if you're a brand new company. It's even harder to achieve if you've already made a start and you're doing certain things really well and certain things well. And you go, no, we're going to change everything. It's all going to be all natural, because the impact of foodstuffs, of vitamins, minerals, of fiber that comes from naturally derived sources versus synthetic, are oceans apart. And here you've got this company, huge company, who've made 9/10 of that shift. That's what we're about, because we believe it should all be done right. So not only did I think, well, this is how it should be done. This is far advanced to anything I've ever seen on the market, and I've seen them all. But also, what they intend to do is just going to accelerate further forward. And what I hope it does is I hope it inspires other parts of the industry to follow suit, because my overall ambition is to improve global health here in the UK, all across Western Europe, the world. We all have a right to a good life. So I hope it inspires other companies to follow suit. But more importantly, I know that we're a part of a system now, a movement that can genuinely improve people's lives. So that's what sets it apart. Everything is backed by research, like you wouldn't believe. Honestly, folks, I've only been here 5 minutes. I'm used to arguing with academics. It's been my background. Arguing with academics. That's what you do. There's an old saying is that academics don't speak. Academics don't have a conversation. They just wait to speak. And it's true. It's just they've got their camp ready to say their bit. And I thought distancing myself from academics and going to work for a big, nutrition company, it won't be like that. It's worse. I promise you. We have product team meetings, and I'm going to start to, if we have, at the minute it's on Zoom. When they're in person, I'm going to show up with a sword and a shield, because it's full on. You have to fight to make your point. And it's literally like, well, my research says this, and I've got all these papers. Well, did you see this paper? And after most meetings we have, there is this flurry of us all sending each other our evidence, going, read this one, do that one. But I love it, because that's how it should be, because it does matter. And we sweat the detail over the tiniest thing. I was on this morning with Orion and Ida. I'm sure you've all heard from them, spoken to them. And, it was just the three of us going over the last few details of something, which you might expect would be a case of, all right, this is where we're at, great. No, we were back into the research again. Well, what about this? Because we can get 3 different types of that. And honestly, and I love that. So that's what sets it apart. It's the attention to detail. It's the pursuit of excellence. It is the zero ambition to be second best, and the genuine ambition that provide the world with meaningful solutions. And I did warn you all that I never give a straight answer.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. I really appreciate that. What would you say your overall philosophy regarding good health and how to achieve it is?
Accountability. I have a phrase that I've used for a long time now, which is that, people should own their own health. Accountability and ownership. That's what health is about. It's about making tough decisions at times. It's about going, I'm not going to have that because I know it's damaging to my health. And I am going to take this. I am going to do that because it benefits my health. Because I would argue that we've normalized poor health to such an extent that it's become so common that people just think that's the way life is. And it's not. I promise you it's not. And again, given where we're at as a modern 21st century society, we have the technology, we have the understanding and the know-how for people to live amazing lives and to not be bogged down by factors related to poor health. So it's ownership, accountability, own your own health. Make that, start every day with success. Make that first decision. I always tell everyone, get up, go to wherever you have water in the fridge from the tap. First thing you should do is just drink some water. Wake the system up. The next thing you do, for me, sets the tone. So think about how you're going to break your fast. What's the quality of the first thing you're going to do that day? Because you've already had your success with the water. So now let's back that up with the second phase of success. And if you can, for instance, the habit in our house for the past 9 months now is everyone has their oil. First thing we do, drink of water, take your oil. That's me, my wife, 3 children, all take our oil. That's it. So we've started from a win, and then build on that. But it comes into everything. Doing your physical activity, the things that we avoid eating, or that we keep to a minimum because we know that they're harmful to us, and then being proactive, hungry in the pursuit of things that are going to do as well, and own that situation. No excuses, no blame. Take it by the horns, make it work. That's my philosophy for health.
I love that. A lot of nutritionalists I've spoken to in the past promote a food first strategy. As you're like a registered nutritionist yourself, why do you think people should use supplements?
The reason why nutritionists promote food first, and I'd say I do, and I'd say Zenzino do. Zenzino promote food first. You should look at the quality of what you eat, and you should look to eat the best quality food you possibly can. Why do I think supplements fit into it? Because I've found supplements that work. If you'd asked me that question 12 months ago, I'd have said, there's probably not much out there that's going to give you much help. Asking me that question since April of last year, I've had a different response, very proactively different response, because supplements can make the largely kind of difficult or nigh on impossible easy. I've used this, apologies to anyone who's had to listen to me over the past few weeks, because I use this analogy a lot, but I'm going to use it one more time. For everyone to meet the dietary intake guidelines for optimal health around there, let's just stick with omega-3s. You're looking at consuming fatty fish, line caught, wild fatty fish every single day. Great. Ecologically, not going to happen. The quality, the nutrient availability of that fish doesn't stack up. It's just not feasible. And then if we look at that en masse, if we look at the fact that we're trying to create parity, so we're going to pull out 7.8 billion fish a day so that everyone has a fish every day, or we're just going to deal with the modernized world and say, okay, 3.6 billion fish a day to reach everybody per day that they will consume. Not ecologically feasible, completely unattainable. And also, I can tell you, because I work with people front and center, people just won't do it. People won't go, yes, I'll eat a really good, wild, line caught, fresh fish every single day. So that's where the ease, convenience of the balance oil, for instance, comes into its own, because it's got all of that in this much, and it tastes pretty good. Bump, done. So that's where supplements fit. Supplements should supplement your diet. They should enrich it. They should enhance it. They should make the difficult easy. That's where supplements work really, really well. And that's how we've always used them in elite sports performance. Let's say, for instance, the common one in elite sports performance is protein intake. Sometimes it's hard to get the amount of protein an elite athlete needs daily in their diet through food. So we'll supplement that. We look for the best quality protein supplement we can get, and we use it strategically. But health is far more important. Health is far more important. Making sure that your body is sufficiently provided for with omega-3s, with your beta-glucans, with your essential amino acids, with those core vitamins, C, D, B12, B6, the list goes on. It's so difficult. And it's difficult even if you're buying fresh food because of intensive agriculture and agriculture. It's hard. It's hard. And that, by the way, I'm not criticizing whole industries of agriculture and aquaculture. They're trying to cater for a huge and ever-growing population. That's a difficult task. The fact is we already have the answer, and Zenzino are delivering on that answer. So that's why. And actually, as you might guess, I know a lot of nutritionists, and I'd even go as far as to say, yeah, definitely, I know some what I would class to be the best nutritionists in the world, either from the research they do or the work that they do. And the best ones know how to supplement the best way. That's the difference.
Absolutely love that. Apart from taking Zenzino products, Colin, which one thing can people do to enhance their health and well-being?
Move every day. You were made to move. You are 6.5 million years old as a kind of, since we crawled out the gloop. 300,000 years old since we became this type of species. We're a migratory species. Sedentary behavior is killing us, leading to back pain. It's leading to, heart issues, all kinds of stuff. We're made to move. So move every single day. So, go for a walk. Definitely get outdoors. I'm a huge believer in being in the outdoors, no matter what the weather is. Walk every single day. That 10,000 steps, it seems, you've probably heard of the 10,000 steps a day. It seems arbitrary, but it's not. It equates to somewhere between 4 to 5 miles. Metabolically, if you were to achieve that most days of the week, in effect, if weight maintenance is your issue, you're going to lose steadily a pound a week just by achieving that. If weight maintenance is the issue, brilliant, because it's so low level. You're going to be working in what we call like a kind of upper zone 1, zone 2. So you're going to be out there breathing in, great for upper respiratory tract. You're putting a load through the system. Going to be great, active, dynamic, keeping your metabolism ticking over. Lovely. So on top of good nutrition, move every day. Exercise, but remember, neither am I. I've worked with them. I've worked with elite rugby players, football players, Olympic athletes, all these kind of people, but I'm not one. Don't need to smash myself to bits just to keep fit and healthy. You can exercise, be physically active. It can be joyful every single time. Put a smile on your face. Do the thing you love. You don't necessarily need to become the master of it. You can change your mind as often as you want. One day yoga, next day Pilates, day after that go for a swim. You don't need to be the best at it in the world. Just do it because you enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, do something you do, because that's the one you'll stick with.
I love that. And personal question. What's your proudest professional achievement, would you say?
You know what? I was asked, I was on a call yesterday that was to do with, I do a lot of work with people who've had like really serious conditions in rehabilitation. And probably my proudest moment, well, there's three, who were people who were given terminal diagnoses, and I was able to work with them from a nutritional point of view, from an exercise rehabilitation point of view, and we were able to, you never take anything for granted. But one of those was given 3 months to live, told to go home and sort their affairs out 4 years ago. He's now a coach for us at the gym we run here on the Wirral. Works every single day. Is awesome. As fit as he's ever been in his life. Another one was someone I had no previous experience of, and I gave a talk locally, and her and her husband showed up, and she had a really complex condition, and ultimately, people were scratching their heads. They couldn't get enough nutrition into it, and they knew this was going to be a barrier because of absorption, because of the surgery she'd had. And she had 2 children. So, you think, right then, well, anything we try is going to be something. And again, she's been harassing me since New Year because now she wants to train for a triathlon. Incredible. And then another lady who was, early 50s, who again was given 3 months. And that was 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. Now back to working professionally. I think they're the 3 proudest, because not because we didn't do anything that was kind of like proving medicine wrong at all. We proved medicine right. They'd been successfully treated. It's just that there are instances where conditions can be so bad that has done its course, but it's just not enough. And we were able to work in partnership with them and get the rehab and the nutrition right. And yeah, and they're still here. So I think that'd go on my list as the proudest things that I've ever done. Yeah. If it's on a lighter note, if it's in sport, my mum's from Dublin. Most of my family are from Ireland. I class myself as Irish before I do English. I'm not English, actually. I'm a Scouser. And I was able to take the Ireland rugby league team to the World Cup, Australia, 2008. We got to the quarterfinals, the furthest an international Irish team has ever been in an international competition. We had an amazing time and got to sing the national anthem 4 times on the pitch to the world, full hit. So yeah, the serious stuff. Yeah. If we're talking sport, that'd be the sporting one.
And what do you say your biggest inspirations are when it comes to health and fitness?
People. You guys all heard of someone called Laird Hamilton? Laird Hamilton is a surfer and an insanely handsome chap. And I think he's like over 50 now, and like he's just phenomenal. He has a phrase that I've stolen that I love, which he says he's just addicted to feeling good. Because he's great. He eats well. He exercises every day. He's a lucky so-and-so because he lives right next to the ocean and goes windsurfing and surfing every single day and does amazing stuff. But that's the life he's made for himself. And I love his take on life and the world, which is that whole notion of why wouldn't you do this? This is incredible. It feels great to eat well and to move. That is addictive. So I love that. And then I'm going to list people that you may or may not know because they come more from my experience in academia. Professor Don McLaren, who was just an outstanding sports nutritionist. And I was really lucky that when I went to work at Liverpool John Moores University, and which is where I also did my PhD, Don took me under his wing, as he did countless other academics. And I learned so much from Don about nutrition, not only from knowing the science, but the hard part. How do you apply it? Because we're working with human beings. And that's what Don was great at, making science applicable. And then there are 2 more godfathers of sports science. Sadly, these 2 are no longer with us. Professor Tom Riley, who was just one of the people who invented sports science. Phenomenal person who I was so fortunate and privileged to work with, who actually was the person who offered me the chance to do a PhD with him, which was a real pinch yourself moment. And then likewise, Professor Jim Waterhouse, who is also ex-Oxford, who took me under his wing, who is an environmental physiologist. And I kid you not, both of those people, anytime I had the shortest conversation, I would learn something every single time. And they've also taught the world, both of them, hundreds of peer-reviewed publications, books, book chapters, phenomenal people. So yeah, so they're my 3. Laird Hamilton, you can find out about him, quick Google, and you'll see all about him. The other 2, you'd have to do, the 3, you'd have to do a little bit more digging.
Fantastic. Specific question I was asked by Sue, actually. Diamond with Zenzino. Son plays for godson, plays for West Ham Academy. He was asking about recovery, how the products can help with recovery from exercise and sporting injuries. I don't know if
that's a great question. That comes up a lot just recently. And I'll go back before I go forward. So recovery is you are how you recover. Training, adaptation, the exercise part, don't get me wrong, takes a bit of thinking out, but the exercise part is almost the easy part. How we recover influences how we adapt. And when we exercise, when we do any kind of training, it's the adaptation that we want, not the session. It's not about what you do there and then, it's about what that will invoke. And so a lot of people, definitely footballers, rugby players, a lot of athletes get obsessed with protein intake and creatine. And, these are the common go-to things, and they definitely have their part in facilitating adaptation. But before all of that, if you are not right from a cellular point of view, if your chronic inflammatory markers are high, your body is not in a prime state to recover because your body is constantly feeling like it's dealing with some type of issue. So if you imagine, let's say you were able to do an exercise session and you spent 90 minutes doing small-sided games. This is commonly used in football. Maybe you've done some kind of sprint work, whatever it is. And you should get 100% back from that session. You've invested your effort. You should get what we'd call 100% back. If your cellular ratio is compromised, if your inflammatory markers are consistently high, then at best, you're probably looking somewhere 70%. 70% is not bad, is it? But that's a best case scenario. Then you got to think, well, how well am I sleeping? That's a huge indicator with regards to our recovery. What's the rest? What's my nutrition like? Is there sufficient amount of, D3, vitamin C, B12, B6, beta glucan? What is my protein intake like? Not only the amount, but the quality of it. There are so many things that come into that matrix of looking at whether or not we can create the optimal environment to recover. And so as happens a lot in life, people get used to the rate at which they get things back. And I think there's a lot of athletes that never really achieve their full potential because they're not maximizing their recovery. You can't recover effectively and wholly if you are not right at a cellular level and if your chronic inflammation is not under control. Acute inflammation is vital. That's what we do. We go, so let's say we're in the gym, we go to the gym, we train, we get stuck in, we tear up those muscles. It's what we call catabolism. And what should happen now is the anabolic phase, that muscle repair and buildup. So that's what the acute inflammatory markers send that message. But if throughout that, we've got this constant chronic state of inflammation, and when those acute ones come down, our chronic ones remain high, the environment, the physiological environment, is not primed or prepared to adapt and make best use of what you've just done. So to me, recovery, whether it's from an illness, whether it's from an exercise session, even psychologically, there's a ton of research on that, starts by having these things under control, by making sure we've got an environment within us that is ready to adapt and facilitate recovery and change. Because there's more to it. Some of the younger guys is in the academy. Some of the younger guys don't get this early on, but they typically do a little bit later on. If you run the gauntlet of compromising your health for the pursuit of performance, you will run out of runway. Eventually, something goes. The structure can only tolerate it for so long. We're only mortal. What you've always got to do is prioritize all those health indices and build your performance off a solid foundation of health, physiological, pathological health. Build it off that. And that's what, this isn't just me preaching. 99.9% of the strength and conditioning coaches, physiotherapists, nutritionists, top sports coaches, they all want that. I promise you, that is what people want. They might not always articulate it that way, but that's the goal. Sometimes though, the pursuit of the result gets in the way. And in big money sports, money gets in the way. We've all been there where the gaffer says, listen, that player is costing me this much a week. I want him back on the pitch. How quickly can you get him back? And a younger version of me would buckle a little bit to that stress. But as you get older, once you've earned your stripes and you know what's going on, you've got more resilience and you're more able to state your case and go, no, this is why we're doing it this way and why it's going to take a little bit longer, because what you're going to get back is a more physically resilient, stronger, more able to cope athlete who's going to play for much, much longer. So to me, recovery starts by optimizing the physiological health of the individual. And then from there, you can start to build as high as you want, because that's your foundation. You can really start to, and I've been really fortunate, Steve, because I've been able to train people to do just like phenomenal things. you know, and I've worked with special elite forces around the world. They're a different breed of human being, let me tell you. And, you know, anyone who saw that talk I did on Saturday, you know, the wounds that people will pick up in the pursuit of things in extreme environments would pull the wheels off any normal person. But we build it all off a mentality of health first. You know, we get them in such a health optimized condition. Then we look at those performance factors and we take it all. And we know even after that, it will take its toll and we need to recover again.
Fantastic. And I love the fact as well, and this is a kind of a discussion we had previously, that, you know, you get contacted daily, like in terms of from friends and other people saying, you know, about this product, and can you help me with this product? And I think there's a lot of people who've not heard you before. It'd be great if you could kind of finish just by covering again how you get started with Zenzino, and really that's kind of all I love that story, and it would just be a great, if you don't mind answering that'd be great.
No, not at all. I'm just to kind of, as the prequel to that.
Yeah.
I did tell you that I never just give a straightforward. As the prequel to that answer, what I pride myself on, what I take most seriously, is the reputation I've built for, and my credibility. You know, because what I'm very aware, and I hold it in the highest regard, that when people ask me for advice and information, more often than not, they're likely to act on it. And sometimes that's a governing body of sport. Sometimes that's a medical department. Sometimes that's just an individual, a friend, or someone who's reached out to me because they found me through some means. And I take that really, really seriously, really seriously. So I will not, and you can put this on record and tell anyone, I will never put my name to something that I don't 100% believe in at all, because I'm the one who'll have to back it up. You know, if someone wants to criticize the outcome of something, they go straight to source. I'm the person who'll get hung out to dry. So I have to believe in it. So that's why I get brought in by a lot of different agencies and organizations. I'm working currently at the moment with the Advanced Clinical Practice Group here in the UK with regards to Health Education England, post-COVID, helping to upskill those practitioners so they better know how to manage people who've had COVID-19 and look at how we can better recover people who've had cancer, cardiovascular disease, all those kind of things. So I'm very aware that I need to protect that. Otherwise, that's kind of me professionally and personally done. So on that note, I was working on a project to do with omega-3s. And I was looking at epigenetics. And for anyone who doesn't know, and apologies if you do, epigenetics is really the way in which the things we do influences at a genetic level. Now, every single person here, you've got a level of genetic inheritance. So that's what your parents have come together, they've made you, and there's a code that's come down through history and made you who you are and the way you look and everything else. You all know that. Well, epigenetics is all the other stuff. So the choices you make. If you smoke, if you vape, if you drink alcohol, if you drink fizzy drinks, God forbid, you know, when you exercise, processed foods, but really good quality foods. And the stuff I'm interested in are the epigenetics that are really positive and enhance our health and enhance our gene behavior, our gene expression. You can't change your genes, but you can change their expression, how they behave. So I was working on a project, omega-3s, because omega-3s are so potent. They cross so many areas because they're such a fundamental part of human life. And I was here working away in my happy place, just me, computer, bit of music on, and the phone rings. And when I'm working, Steve, you can qualify this. If I'm working on something, I won't answer because I'm working on something. You might get the, I can't speak now, I'll call you back shortly, automatic response, because I'm working, I'm on it. But there's a few people who, you know, kind of get past that barricade for one reason or another. And one of those people is a really good friend of mine, Tony O'Neill. And Tony, used to work at Under Armour, Adidas, BMW. He's had big positions in big companies and still does now, working with a huge company now. And he's had some health issues over the years. And he was ringing, the phone was ringing, and I'd done that. Bump, can't speak now, call you back later, working away. And then I had a break scheduled. So it was lovely outside. This was the first lockdown when the weather was amazing. And picked up the phone. I'll ring Tony back. And Tony said, Col, you're my go-to guy. People are always nice to you when they want something from you. You're my go-to guy, Col. If you tell me this is legit, I'm going to do it. I'm like, right, what is it, Tony? Will you have a look at a product for me? Now, I promise you, Steve, I promise you, folks, 99.9% of the time, that question will get answered with, no, I'm busy. I've got other stuff to do. I'm not going to go and look at something on the Tinterweb for you. But because it was Tony, he said, look, will you have a look at a product for me? Someone's told me this could be good for my health. And also, I'm interested in this from a business point of view. He said, I think the business looks really good. And, you know, to put that in context, I'm not a businessman at all. Couldn't even pretend to be. Tony really is. You know, when I say he's worked at Under Armour, BMW, Adidas, high up, you know, he wasn't, you know, one of the people driving around making deliveries. One of the people at the top making decisions. You know, he helped Under Armour become a £4 billion business. So I thought, wow, he's interested in this from a business point of view. And then there's the health part, which, to be honest with you, is more important. So I said, right, what is it? And he said, well, it's something to do with omega-3. Have you ever heard of them? So I was like, funnily enough, a project on that just at the moment. And yes, I've heard of omega-3s. And he's like, I knew you would have. So that's the very first time I heard the word Zenzino. He said, will you have a look at this company? He said, because the stuff that I've got going on, good friend of ours is involved in the business, and she thinks that this could really help with what I've been through. So straight away, literally that morning, I'd written 2 chapters of a huge, big research document about the power and the impact of getting your omega-3 ratio right. And I was drawing evidence in from multiple areas. So I thought, okay, it's Tony and it's omega-3. It's not going to hurt to go and have a look. And I still, as I said at the start of this call, I still expected to go on, have a quick look and go, yeah, Tony, it's rubbish. Go and eat some fish. And that was where it started. And being the kind of person I am, you know, it all looked great. I thought the website looked great. And what they're promising looks great, but anyone can make promises. So what's the certification like? So I went and checked all that, and all the certification stacks up. So, okay. Now I'm one of those people. I'm fortunate enough. For a lot of people, you have a look and they tell you they've got the certificate and you have to trust them. But I'm not. I have access to the other end. I can go and look where these are registered and I can look at those lists. So I was so impressed. It's one of those. I don't know if anyone listens ever experienced this. You know that old saying, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. Well, that just made me more suspicious. So I thought, well, this looks so good that it can't be good. So I'm going to catch them out. I'm going to save my friend Tony. So I went and every single certificate batch number, I went and cross-referenced it. And by this time, a mutual friend of ours, Neil Parsley, who is arguably one of the greatest S&C coaches in the world, Tony had spoken to him, and Neil's on the phone going, has Tony spoken to you about this omega-3 stuff? What do you think, Col? And I'd spent a fair bit of time on it. I was like, it looks really, really good. I was like, you know, it's too early to say. I've only spent a couple of hours on it, but this looks really, really good. This looks like, I don't know what to say. Call me back later. So I went through everything. I thought, I'm not going to stop because I'm going to find it. I'm going to find the bit that's not there. And I Googled them and saw all the nonsense and all that rubbish. I wasn't not interested in any of that kind of stuff. I just kept looking at the product and what they were saying and what it was about and the ingredients and how it was reported. And then I thought, you know what? It's really easy to be cynical, isn't it? And it's a good defense to have. But I actually then started to go, no, this is it. You've found the answer that you've been looking for. You've found what you've been saying people should do. Here it is now. Here it is now, right in front of you. And I rung up Tony and I said, this looks really good. This checks out. And I said, but I'm still not 100% until I can speak to some of the researchers behind it. That's what I need to do, because I've got questions that the website can't answer. So they went off and had a chat. This was the first time I met Vibeke. I don't know how many people on here have spoken to or heard from Vibeke.
Yeah.
And she said, yep, Paul Clayton, happy to jump on a Zoom and have a chat if you want. So I was like, great, brilliant, let's do that. And I knew Paul, or I didn't know Paul, I knew of Paul prior to this because of the work he's done and because of his associations. He's been associated with a department down at Oxford. Some of his work that he's done, he's had quite a monumental impact across the area of nutrition over the years that he's been active. So I knew I was going to speak to someone who was legit and the real deal. So I got onto the call, and you know what? He was a complete gent, and we had a great chat. And I asked him questions, and he was really, what's the word? Really accommodating. He was happy to go to town on it, and we really explored stuff, and I wanted to know things about the ratio exogenous versus endogenous. So what we consume versus what happens at a cellular level. We had a good chat and a good debate about stuff. And it came off that. And then Tony and these people were like, so what do you think now, Col? What do you think now? Do you still think it's good? And I said, yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it's great. And I think you should take it 100%. And I think from a business point of view, you should look at this because, in the right hands, this is probably going to take over the world because the world needs it. Yeah. So definitely 100%. Up until then, there was never a product. So I might say to an athlete, again, you need to increase your protein a little bit, but I wouldn't say go and buy their protein. I'd say this is what you need to look at, increasing your protein. This was the first time in my entire professional career that I was saying, no, you need to take the Zenzino balance oil. No, you need to take Extend. No, you need to take Zenzino Protect. That was the difference. It was like, I'm not interested in the others. Fish oil is rubbish. Don't even touch it. You need to take the balance oil. That's what you need to take. So it commenced from there. Then off the back of that, if everyone's not going to sleep yet, they were doing calls like this, and they were going, we're going to ask our mate Col to come and Dr.Col, come and talk to them about the science. And I said, listen, as I don't work for Zenzino, I'm not representing Zenzino. I've got no part in this other than talk about the science. So if anyone asks me a question, they're only going to get a straight, honest answer based on the science. No one's giving me any money, and I don't want anyone's money. I'm only going to give them the answers for the science. And they said, yeah, come on and talk. So I would talk through the science to a few people. I did at least 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I got some really good questions off people, answered those kind of things back and two. And then I was getting asked to do more and more of them. I was like, guys, I do act genuinely. I have a lot on. I've got a job, and I'm part of a lot of committees and boards around the UK, and I've got other stuff, and it's nice once in a while to not work for 5 minutes. And then Vibeke flew over to the UK and said, could we have a chat? Would you come and meet us? And they said, look, we really like what you're about, and we really like your ethic, and we like the fact that you take no nonsense and that you're not prepared to compromise yourself. Would you be interested in coming and working with Zenzino? Would that be something that you'd consider? And I genuinely, I thought, yeah, because all I've ever wanted to do was change the world. All I've ever wanted to do was make everyone healthy, was to tell people to help themselves, because we get bombarded. On average, the average person gets exposed to 5,000 advertisements, messages a day, and big, huge, multi-billion-pound companies are bombarding the way people think. So all I've ever wanted to do was give people a port in the storm and go, just knock out all the noise. You can have faith in this. This is going to help you to feel better. And when you feel better, you can live better. You can think differently. You can have more positive thoughts, constructive thoughts. You'll feel differently about yourself, and you'll start to find the joy in life again. Simple things. And there's only so much you can achieve being a hardcore researcher, I promise you, because you know who reads our research? Other researchers. Small group takes a long time to reach the people who need it. So when they said, look, would you be interested? And so I went over to Sweden, just to give you the full story.
Yep.
I flew over to Dag, rung me up. I don't know if anyone's ever spoke to Dag. He's a unique character. He rung me up and said, will you come to Sweden this week? So, you know, and I went, yeah, okay. And he said, right, get a flight, get out here and come and spend a few days with us. So literally a day later, I was on a flight, arrived in Gothenburg, picked up from the airport, straight to head office, all day at head office, all evening with Dag. We went for a walk around the harbour. Dag said, we're going to go for a walk and have a meeting. I thought, great, yeah. He said, make sure you got walking shoes on. I thought, no problem. We walked 10K. And I kid you not, we were power walking the whole way down. But I thought, this will do for me. That's my kind of person. I can work with someone like that. And we walked all the way around into the night. And it was great. But it was a warts and all. Everything. Lifted the lid off everything. What he was about. I was about. Zenzino. The philosophy. The mission. Went to bed. Up early. Back on it. Full day again. Head office. With Henrique. Jacob. Going through every aspect of how the business ticks, what they do, what they're about. And I was literally blown away. And I came home and I got home, I think it was the Saturday afternoon, came back to my place here and I've got, we have a nice little place here, bit kind of out the way a little bit. And my wife said to me, what do you think then? I said, yeah, this is it. I'm going to take it. And without being and I don't mean this to be arrogant whatsoever, because I'm not. I've had job offers over the years that, just weren't for me. It wasn't right. It wasn't going to move me forward, and it wasn't going to move anyone else forward. And I remember coming home from this and going, yeah, this is it. This is going to be an adventure. And I think we're going to do a whole heap of good, and we're going to set a new standard whilst we do it. So you couldn't, it'd be so hard to turn down, wouldn't it? It'd be really hard to turn down. So that is pretty much the full story of where it all came from and how I got involved. And it's easy, isn't it? There's like a honeymoon period. But I tell you, from day one back in December, from day one of actually starting to where we are today, today's been, we've had a lot on today and we've got a lot on all week. Just great people to work with. I love the ethos. I love the expectation, the demand, the drive. I love the fact that, they sweat the details on everything. They consider, the product's my concern. That's considered down to we are talking, we're currently working on something. I don't think I'm allowed to say what it is yet, but we're working on something. And we are down to the microgram of specific parts and what difference that'll make if we tweak it this way, that way. And then as a philosophy, as a business, they are so customer and partner centered. The value of the customer and the partners is the umbrella everyone works under. That is the priority, is that those people are looked after, and it's kind of, those two are equal. What we create and what we provide has to match with the standard and the rate at which we hold these people here. So yeah, I love it. It's good. It's going to be exciting.
Very much so, and welcome to the team. It's just great to have you on board. The product team is amazing, and to have you as part of that team just makes it stronger. I really appreciate your time tonight, and I'm sure everyone would, give you a big congratulations and round of applause if they was in a room, but we do it here. And look forward to working with you, Dr. Colin, and look forward to spending more time with you in the future. Thanks for your time tonight.
You're a gent, Steve. I'm just going to say one last thing, because I know I said it last time. There's more people arguably listening now. When I was going through that whole sussing people out and meeting people, I've said it before and I'll say it again only because it's true. That coffee you and I had, Steve, when we caught up, that had a huge impact on it, because I knew I was going to be working directly with you over in the UK. and I could tell straight off the bat how genuine and sincere you were. And genuinely, if it were not for that, I might have had a different decision, because who you work with is everything. You know, that's where trust comes from. You've got to have absolute faith in the team. You really do. So thank you, Steve. Thanks for tonight. And thanks for being a big part of what brought me into the business.
Thanks, Colin. Good night, everybody.